Colorado Buffaloes are just one win away from bowl eligibility, and while that's not the ultimate goal, it is a little milestone. I'm going to tell you what they need to do against Cincinnati to clinch that 6th win.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? This is Kevin Borba on another episode of Locked On Buffs. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet, and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. We are also brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day for free and available wherever you get your podcast. So make sure to like, subscribe, follow, and that way you don't miss a single show. We're free and available every day. Talking about your favorite team, the Colorado Buffaloes, and those Colorado Buffaloes are hosting the Cincinnati Bearcats in, first of all, a game that is scheduled way too late. I'm not a fan of the late games. I'm well aware it's because of TV markets and TV conglomerates and all that. I worked for the Pac-12 network out of college. I'm well aware of why games are scheduled when they are. I'm well aware of how tiring it is to be up for the Pac-12 after dark, or as now it's like Big 12 after dark, or be a Big 12 beyond whatever, beyond the sun. But realistically, I think this Colorado team matches up really well against Cincinnati. I personally don't think Cincinnati has impressed at all this year, right? They beat Townsend, which, I mean, they should have. They blew a game against Pitt, beat Miami of Ohio by 11, beat Houston, which everyone beats Houston in football, not basketball. Texas Tech, I think Cincinnati sort of had a chance to win that game, and they blew that as well. And so, yeah, I don't see a win on this schedule. They beat UCF after UCF has already been pretty much, they've collapsed since that Colorado loss. They don't have a quarterback anymore. And then Arizona State, they beat them without Sam Leavitt, or Levitt. And so it's one of those things where I look at this game, and Colorado's only a 5-point favorite now on the spread, moved from 4 to 5. And I think they should win by 15 to 20, realistically. And I'm going to tell you exactly what they need to do to win this game. And before I dive into that, this isn't me saying that, hey, once they reach bowl eligibility, everything's fine. This is just me saying with their next win, they quite literally will reach bowl eligibility. So it's not the ultimate goal, like I said, but it obviously is a bit of a milestone because every team wants to get that 6-win threshold. So let's dive into my keys to victory. Dominate through the air. Let's talk about it. Cincinnati's their defense is not that good against the passing attack, right? They've been picked apart the past few games. For instance, we'll look at their Texas Tech game, the one that they lost 44-41. Texas Tech, who has a really, really not so good defense. Baron Morton threw for 251 yards and 2 touchdowns, completed 19 of 29 passes. Same thing. I think even Jeff Sims had a bit of, I wouldn't say a lot of success, but he showed some promise kind of for the Jeff Sims standard. Like, this Cincinnati defense just does not defend the pass well. They rank below Arizona nationally in terms of passing defense. And for those of you that remember how Colorado did against Arizona, if you forgot, Shedeur Sanders was 23 of 33 for 250 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did throw a couple picks, but that was out of the ordinary. So they're a worse pass defense than Arizona. Obviously, Colorado has one of the best passing attacks in the country. And so just get the passing game going. Just get the ball in the hands of your playmakers. It's quite simple. The more the ball is in the hands of LeJonte Wester, Will Shepard, Jimmy Horn, Travis Hunter, whoever it is, right? Whoever's playing, the better. Those guys are hard to bring down. They're all elusive. They're all speedy. And so just get the ball in the hands of your playmakers through the air. Get Shedeur Sanders and company going. My second one, which I think this is a little bit more important. This is probably the biggest key to the game, at least to me. Pressure quarterback Brendan Sorsby into mistakes. Cincinnati's offensive line has actually done pretty well this season in protecting him. They've only given up 10 sacks. And it's one of those things where if you can't get to the quarterback, right, you have to at least pressure him into mistakes. And so Sorsby, in terms of making mistakes, he has 4 picks on the year, which, I mean, 13 touchdowns, 4 picks isn't a bad ratio. All 4 of those interceptions have come within the last 3 weeks. So something is going wrong with Sorsby where he's just sort of making a similar mistake over and over again. Plus, We have also seen, this is according to PFF, he struggles when he's under pressure. So when he's kept clean, his completion percentage is 73%. He has 13 touchdowns. He's averaging 9.1 yards per attempt. He's graded as a 90.5 or 90.2 in passing. Under pressure, his completion percentage drops from 73 to 46.2. He has 0 touchdowns, 2 picks, and his yards per attempt drops to 5.7. When blitzed, completion drops down to 59.6%, 8.1 yards per attempt. He has thrown 9 touchdowns, but he's also thrown 3 picks. So clearly getting pressure on him and forcing him into bad throws, forcing him into throws that he shouldn't be making. That's where you sort of get Sorsby off his game. But overall, the sophomore out of Denton, Texas, or the redshirt sophomore, he's done pretty well. The Indiana transfer, I've been impressed, right? I think compared to what Cincinnati was last year with Emory Jones, I think Brennan Sorsby is a much better quarterback. But I think for Colorado, who has B.J. Green, Samuel Kunawola, not really sure what Keaton Wade's role is moving forward, but he got a couple sacks. Like, this defense is really finding their way to the quarterback. And so right now they have Samuel Kunawola 3 sacks, Taj McCoy with 3 sacks, DJ Green with 3 sacks, Deion Hayes has 2 sacks, even though he hasn't played in a while. Nikhai Hill-Green 2 sacks, Keaton Wade. Like, they have a total of 21 sacks on the year. Like, get to the quarterback, get pressure, and if you can't bring him down, at least move him, at least make him force a throw every once in a while. And then lastly, run the ball effectively. Now, this isn't me saying that Colorado needs to just hunker down and only run the ball. But, I mean, the more you run the ball, the better, right? Colorado is 5-0 when they run the ball 14 or more times. And I think last game we kind of saw what Isaiah Gustav can bring to the table in a large capacity. He was named as the starting back, and he also, I think, has shown that he can make plays behind this line like Michael Welch. Michael Welch has hamstring issues, which I'll talk about in a little bit, but get the run game going, right? Colorado ran the ball 35 times for 155 yards and 2 touchdowns against Arizona this past week. And we've seen that although this Colorado run game is not going to be like it's not going to be like Ashton Genty, for example, right? Like, I mean, maybe it could be. We haven't seen it yet, but it could be. We haven't seen Isaiah Gustav, we haven't seen Michael Welch rattle off 200 yards rushing, and that's okay. We don't need them to do that. You just need them to sort of force the Cincinnati defense to respect the run. It opens up the play action. Also, you get a couple big run plays here or there. That helps even more. So those are my 3 keys to winning this game. Like I said on the past 2 episodes, I do think Colorado wins this pretty convincingly. I think they skate to their 6th win of the year. Now, obviously, that doesn't mean they should overlook Cincinnati, but I do think that if everything goes right, if they play the way I know they can, and we all know they can, I think they win this game big. You guys comment below. Give me one key to what Colorado needs to do to win this game against the Bearcats, because I do think it could be a bit of an interesting game late in Boulder. When we come back, we're going to be talking about the latest news on Colorado's running back situation. This episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by our sponsors over at LinkedIn. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the right tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals that you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job but might be open to the perfect role. In any given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and might not have the time or resources to hire. LinkedIn is constantly finding ways to make the process even easier. They even just launched a feature that helps you write job descriptions, make the process even easier and quicker. 2.5 million small businesses are using LinkedIn for their hiring needs. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. It's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. Appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day, making me your first listen of the day. Like I said, we are free and available wherever you get your podcast, whether it's audio, video. We're free and available. We're covering all things that you need to know about the Colorado Buffaloes, and we're here every single day, so don't miss. Don't miss that, excuse me. We just hit 6,000 subscribers. Now we're on the climb to 7,000 and above. Let's do it. Let's talk about the running back changes. I've talked about this throughout the season. I thought Micah Welch was the best running back, and I still think that he can be. Right? Me and Scott Proctor talked about it quite a bit, where it just felt like Micah Welch was better suited to get things going behind this Colorado rushing attack, or behind this Colorado offensive line, because obviously they're a little bit better than last year, but they're not entirely a brand new unit that's just moving people off blocks and stuff like that. So Deion Sanders started Charlie Offerdahl, Deion Sanders and Coach Flea, of course, because I feel like it's a team mutual decision, started Charlie Offerdahl to start the year, and the run game did absolutely nothing. They abandoned the run game frequently. And then they turned to Dallin Hayden, who I loved his film. I loved what I saw from him at Ohio State. I thought he would be the best running back. Ended up struggling a little bit, and then he goes down with an injury. Then Micah Welch gets the nod, and I thought he did really well. I still think he's probably the 1B or 1A to Isaiah Augusta, however you view it. But I like Isaiah and Micah Welch as a 1-2 combo. But Isaiah gets the first start last week, and he took advantage, right? He powers in for a touchdown, and now he's going to be the starting running back according to Coach Prime. And let's just talk about what he brings to the table, because I think running backs in Colorado's offense, at least right now, right? I mean, we've seen Phillip Lindsay and other guys have success in years past, but this offense right now is not going to be a running back where it's like they're going to be 1,000-yard rusher. It's an offense where it's like, okay, we need you to get 60 yards, power in a touchdown here and there, pick up a couple third downs, and that's your job. And it sounds easy, but it's not, as we've seen throughout the season. So Colorado makes a change. Coach Prime makes a change to Isaiah Augusta, and this is how he stacks up against the other running backs, right? He averages 4.4 yards per attempt. He has one fumble in the year, which, I mean, happens. He's the only running back to actually have a fumble. But yards after contact is where I think he comes into play. He averages 3.2 yards after contact. Michael Welch was 2.83. And then Dallin Hayden was 2.32. So obviously that's a big deal, right? He's able to break tackles. He's able to make a little bit of something out of nothing. And then also he has 2 runs of 10 plus yards or more, and is kind of he could do a little bit out of the passing attack. I don't think any of these Colorado running backs are really that good at pass blocking. Charlie Offerdahl, of all people, has the best pass blocking grade. But yeah, I think it's just one of those things where you have to sort of take a chance. And right now, with Michael Welch still a little banged up, you recognize that Dallin Hayden is not the guy right now. He could be in the future. You recognize that Charlie Offerdahl, I don't know how you use him. I haven't seen Charlie Offerdahl maximized, I guess. Obviously, the coaches like him because he was good enough in camps to earn a scholarship and earn the starting role. But Isaiah Augusta is powerful. He's fast. He's big. I think he can help out a little bit in the pass blocking game. So I like what they're doing at running back. I do still have a lot of faith in Michael Welch and what he brings to the table moving forward. I don't know what this means for Dallin Hayden, quite frankly. Like, obviously, he's in the rotation right now because Michael Welch is injured. But I won't say I haven't liked what I've seen from him, but I expected more out of him. Now, obviously, things are a lot different when you're running at Ohio State and you have one of the best offensive lines in the country, and then you go to Colorado where it's like you have this ragtag group of guys who it's like, yeah, they're all starting. There's some issues here. There's some issues there. But, hey, they're better than last year, right? So I think it's a good move. I think Isaiah brings the most to the table right now in terms of you got Dallin, Charlie, and then Michael Welch, who's a little bit banged up. So he brings the most to the table, brings a spark, and maybe now that he knows he's the lead back, for at least for now, he could get a little more juice, get a little more confidence. We'll have to wait and see. But I do like what Colorado's doing at running back. I do think that it's going to continue to help bolster this offense. When we come back, I'm going to be talking about my picks around the Big 12. Hey, NFL fans, you could start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you could check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's fanduel.com to get in on that action. Okay, here we go. It's time to see how good I am at picking games. Sometimes I'm like really good, other times it's hit or miss. But I'm going to go around the Big 12 and sort of pick, not sort of, I'm going to pick the winner for each game, because obviously things are getting intense in the Big 12. You have the conference standings race. Like really, there's about 6 or 7 teams still in the mix, right? And so we're going to see each week a team sort of fall out of the contention. I think probably 3 conference losses will knock you out, maybe 2, depending on how Iowa State and BYU do. Obviously, if they don't lose a game, then it's going to be those 2, right? They don't play each other. I don't think. Let me confirm real quick on the schedule. Yeah, they don't play each other. So realistically, if they go undefeated or they each lose 1 game, it might just be that. But either way, we'll get there when we get there. I'm going to go game by game and predict the winners, starting with Utah at Houston. Utah just, or I won't say fired. Their offensive coordinator just stepped down, Andy Ludwig, and their offenses look terrible all season. It looks pretty much the same as it did last year. But Houston is the worst team in the Big 12. I think Utah's defense is enough to slow down Houston, and I think they win like an ugly like rock fight where it's going to be like 13-7 or 13-6 or something like that. Cincinnati versus Colorado, as you guys know, I'm picking Colorado. I think they beat them by around 15 to 20 points. I don't think Brennan Sorsby can keep up with Shedeur Sanders. I think this is a much better Colorado defense than what they've seen, right? Cincinnati hasn't really played against a defense that I would trust as much as Colorado's, maybe Arizona State's, but when Arizona State's without their starting quarterback, their defense is out there vulnerable. So there's that. Either way, so I'm going Utah, Colorado, BYU at UCF. UCF's favored by 2. BYU just went down to the wire against Oklahoma State. I think they bounce back against a UCF team that can't throw the ball. They quite literally have one of the worst passing attacks in college football. It's just not good, as you would say. But yeah, so I'm picking BYU here. Oklahoma State versus Baylor. I think Baylor's trending up. I think Oklahoma State trending down. They don't have a good quarterback situation, whereas Baylor, they're coming off a huge win over Texas Tech where they put up 59 points. Like, that's insane. I didn't even know they had that in them post RG3, realistically. Then you have Texas Tech versus TCU. Interesting matchup. Sorry, I had to get a little water and cough in there. I think Texas Tech wins this game. I see TCU's favored by 6.5. I don't trust them still. I trust Texas Tech's offense slightly more. I think this will be a shootout, though. It wouldn't surprise me if this game finishes in like the 40 to 50 range. And then West Virginia at Arizona. West Virginia is the better team. I think Arizona is struggling right now. Noah Fafita is not the quarterback that we saw last year. I don't really know what went wrong there, but clearly he's not himself. And then to conclude the weekend, you have Kansas State hosting Kansas, number 16 Kansas State. Kansas is on the road. Kansas has been bad this year. I would say they're probably the most disappointing team in the Big 12. They just picked up their second one of the year against Houston. Their only other win came against Lindenwood. They have losses to Illinois, UNLV, West Virginia, TCU, pretty much everyone. Arizona State. I trust Kansas State a whole lot more. I think it's one of those games where Kansas State just has to run the ball, stick to their game plan, and they'll probably blow this Kansas team out. It's unfortunate to see what happened to Jalen Daniels. He's not the same quarterback, but that's how I see the Big 12 playing out this weekend. You guys comment below which teams do you think are going to win, which teams do you have the most confidence in, and let me know so that way we could maybe keep track. When you guys see me next will be tomorrow. We're going to have a really, really fun episode. And then Friday, we're also going to have mailbag questions to end the episode. So if you have a question or a comment you want me to address, send it in the comment sections, and I will dive into it on Friday for the last segment. So that way I can shout you guys out, and you guys will be a part of the show with me. So thank you guys for tuning in to Locked On Buffs every single day, making me your first listen of the day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, so make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. I will see you guys tomorrow. I hope everyone has a great Wednesday. Again, it's been Locked On Buffs. I'm Kevin Borba.